Welcome, everybody, back to the Game Vault podcast. I am your host, Mark. Today, we are just joined by Tom. Jen seems to have gotten sickness that has taken out, I think, a half a dozen people in my family around Christmas time here, and a couple coworkers. I've been dodging this thing like I'm Neo somehow. I'm probably going to get sick because I'm on vacation this week. But you get me today. So since Jen is unavailable, obviously this week will not be our Game of the Year discussion with the three of us. So me and Tom still, for our great fans out there, wanted to at least put a podcast out at the end of the year here. We're just going to discuss games we liked and played in 2023 and things we're looking forward to in the future. Basically going to go over, at least from my end, some of the games on my list, not number them because that is what next episode is for. But just sort of discuss things and then obviously everybody out there is screaming at their podcast going, I know what you're going to talk about for future stuff. That will be, I wish I could come up with a fake timeline. That's timeline. That'd be 9 minutes and 39 seconds to 21 minutes. You can just skip that part. But anyway, probably have a real quick one here for the beginning. For the whole episode in general, because there's really no news. I saw one piece of news, and it was that there's a mod coming out for Fallout. I could have dug deeper and maybe found a couple things, but this time of year, most gaming companies and then stuff just off for the holidays. So let's get into what have you been playing? And Tom, what's the game you've been playing over the holidays here?
So, Sea of Stars has been my chill out game.
Hell yeah!
Over this holiday, I just hit the WTF point.
Oh, you got the reveal.
Well, I got to the twist.
Yeah,
and the game got real dark all of a sudden.
Yes, it did. It kind of gave me some Final Fantasy VI vibes.
It's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking this got real Final Fantasy VI real fast.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing I was trying to hold back from you.
Yeah, it was. I was like, "Whoa, what are we doing here? This is not how this is supposed to go." Yeah. But
she's my favorite character in the game.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I'm gonna spoil some stuff here if you haven't.
Yeah, little light spoilers here. But if you don't want to hear anything, you tune out for about 30 seconds or a minute.
So the captain being your fourth member is awesome. Yeah. Her abilities are far and away better than Garl's. I mean, he's a tank, but it's nice to have somebody else who can actually deal damage and different types of damage because every enemy calls for poison damage at this point, and she's the only one who can do it. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm hoping it doesn't get too dark. I don't know how dark we're going and how far down the rabbit hole we're going with this twist. We'll see.
It gets good. Yeah, like I said, it gets really good. The ending is really the only thing that I was upset they didn't fully, hit. But everything up to that point is like chef's kiss. So you're gonna have fun for the rest of the game here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those games that just catches you. I'm hoping I'm able to play some more tonight and maybe over the weekend. I don't know if that's possible. We'll see. I might have to break out the my Backbone controller from my phone and do remote play. But we'll see.
It's definitely that type of game.
Yeah, you could totally play it like that. That's I would not have a problem with that. But yeah. So that's the game I've been most playing. I did want to mention Jonathan predicted correctly that the big thing with handheld gaming is these Chinese handhelds that everybody purchases for, anywhere from $40 to $120 because I bought one. And I've been messing around with it for the past few weeks. I bought a Pow Kitty RGB 30, which is a really interesting one. Okay. There's a video by Retro Game Core if you are more interested. So the cool thing about this screen on this thing is it is a 1-to-1 ratio screen. It's 720 by 720, so it allows you to play like Game Boy and Game Boy Advance really crisp and clear because they're 10 by 9 aspect ratios. so it almost fills that whole 720 by 720 screen.
Ooh.
It's still really good for 4.3 stuff, and also, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance look great on it. So that is pretty much the reason I got it. It's powerful enough to do PlayStation, but at the same time, I can, it could be just my Game Boy emulator.
Yeah.
But yeah,
nice.
It seems to be one of those that's going to be that I'm going to hang on to for a while and be messing around with.
Awesome. Yeah. So for me, I couple weird things, and then one thing that's not mine that I know the audience would love to hear. So we'll hold down for that one for last. But so I mainly been playing Alan Wake 2 again because the final draft, the New Game Plus came out. I tried to stream it on here. I think it was an NVIDIA issue that was causing it to be like a minute to 2 minutes behind on Twitch. Don't know why. I updated NVIDIA and Super Mario RPG worked perfectly fine. So sorry for those of you that were looking forward to that stream. I'm way too far into it to stream it now. But I'm basically, the funny thing is I watched 2 playthroughs of it, while playing NHL 24 and a bunch of other things that don't require volume. And so I watched people like 100% the game. So I know all the little things inside. So for this, I'm just basically speed running the main story. So that's been fun. Like I know what to do now. Then I don't have to hunt around for things because New Game Plus, you get all your weapons and anything you had in your inventory. Yeah. And now for some of the boxes that have like stashes and stuff in it, I know where they are and what the codes are and what to do. So just pop it in there if I need any of that stuff. But game looks gorgeous. I did get a brand new 55-inch TV, and it looks amazing on there. It's probably one of the best looking games I've seen. I can't wait to compare it to over the holiday. I am going to play God of War, the Valhalla thing, and maybe I'll do a little Horizon because those are probably the 2 best looking games I have. And then I also bought the DLC for Final Fantasy 16. So be playing around with a lot of stuff that'll test out how good that TV is. So basically just been playing through that. I highly recommend that for everyone. I was speaking to Jen today when I found out that she was still sick. And I told her, she asked if you needed to play Alan Wake 1 or Control before playing Alan Wake 2. And I will say for the audience out there, no. If you like to go around and find things, you will get the full story. Because the Saga character, the FBI agent character, if you've seen the trailers, is basically that. Like, she has no idea what's going on. So you get to learn everything through her, which was a great idea by Remedy to do that. You'll be a little confused in the Alan parts. You won't get excited about certain things that I, using a wrestling term, popped for when they happened, where I did a lot of Leo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And pointing at the TV when a word came up, just because I had played Alan Wake and the DLCs in Control. So it's fun going through that. I can't wait to get to the new story bits. There's been a little here and there, like Alan's opening voiceover is different, acknowledges the end of the game. So that was cool.
He knows he's in a time loop.
Yeah. And all that stuff. So yeah, the New Game Plus acknowledges that. So it's interesting to see as I get deeper into Alan's stuff, how much like does his memory go through the whole, So good with that. I got the computer off you loaded up. I got everything on there. Just having a little issue with the PS3 emulator. I think it's just I have to tune it. It plays the things, but they're like frame rate's awful, and sometimes it freezes. So I think that might just be a tuning thing on the emulator. So no issues. We'll talk about it off stream. But like I said, nothing is erroring or critical failure or anything like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's all hooking up fine. I think it's just, I think I got to look at my settings on the emulator on the computer I'm recording on and just match and see if that fixes it on there. But yeah, so tested that. Looks great. Again, it's hooked up to my 55-inch TVs. I can't wait to play NCAA 14 on a 55-inch QLED display. And then the fun thing for everyone out there, I had purchased the Avatar game for Miss Kitty Ashcat, and apparently I surprised it. I went over and I downloaded it while they were at their grandmother's on Christmas Eve, and just put it on technically her sister's Xbox, but when you have siblings, you share.
Yes, you do.
So, and plus the older one just plays Fortnite, so
so it's a Fortnite machine.
Yeah, and her boyfriend has NHL 24 on it, so they have 2 games on there. So I downloaded it, the Avatar game, and I just told her, hey, check your Xbox when you get the chance. So it took her a while to figure out what was different on there, and then the older one texted me and said that she started dancing around the room when she saw it was Avatar. So points for Uncle Mark again.
Getting good at this, Mark.
Yep, she did not even ask about it. I don't even know if she knew it existed, because she's a Roblox, Fortnite, scary game player. The downside of not being magazine subscription holders, Tom, like we were.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Just wanted to update you on friend of the pod, Kitty Ashcat, and her dealings. I haven't given her a full present yet. I got her 8 Demon Slayer Funko Pops.
8?
They were on sale, buy one, get one free at GameStop.
That's how I get you every time.
Yeah, I spent a little more money than I should have there. So I grabbed everyone except I left one out because I don't know if she would like that character. I didn't really know it enough, but I got all the ones that I knew were Demon Slayers, and got those. And then, so she's going to be getting that shortly. But
cool.
Yeah, I am giving in to her gaming anime inclinations. I need an inside kid. I love softball and outdoor sports and all, but I need someone to say, "Hey, check out this video game." With this,
it's good. It's good to have that.
All right. So, just quick update. We will probably the Super Mario RPG playthrough will probably kick up again on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Or maybe even I'm off this week, so I may play most days, like a couple hours at night before I go to bed. For y'all. If you want to watch the archives, there's going to be a special New Year's Eve stream, revealing it to Tom here. I'm thinking of doing as we talked about for the Retro Roulette game last week. I'm thinking of doing an LJN Spectacular. And playing as much, like I'm going to be doing hourly. I was thinking of trying to do till 3 a.m. and do Happy New Year for everybody, in America at least. And I'll still do my 15-minute Fuser interlude leading up to midnight here on the East Coast.
You should throw in the Retro Roulette game too.
Yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, I wanted to do LJN Spectacular. Just so I didn't have the original idea was to do a bunch of the games that we'll mention today, but I didn't want to have to keep switching consoles because I don't have a switcher. That's a pain in the butt. So I was like, let me do this. Will be fun. I was going to set up that BizHawk thing where it changes it every 30 seconds to just stress myself out. I'll be in the middle of a Jaws fight, and then all of a sudden it flips over to like WF Superstars or something. Or whatever wrestling game they made. But yeah. So look in the archives for that, and update for the new year. We're probably going to be updating more things to YouTube more frequently. I'm going to try and get as much of the FF16 playthrough as I can up there, because I think I may have lost 2 videos. Thankfully, they're not the end. I think it would be like episode 10-ish and episode like 21, something like that. There's 26 parts. So I hope nothing major is missing. Once I line that up, I will put a disclaimer in the episodes before and after the missing ones. And then also Super Mario RPG is going to be going up. And then, once we continue the other playthroughs, we're going to try and do a lot of our Let's Plays that we do on the site, on the Twitch to end up on the YouTube. So subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. There'll be lots of cool updates. There may be YouTube exclusive LPs too on there. So be sure to check that out. Yeah. But Tom, 2023 was a great year for us as gamers in terms of games that came out. not so much for the gaming industry in terms of all the layoffs. And I didn't mean to laugh there, but it's kind of hard to always say, hey, it's been a great year for gaming, and then remember that like 3,600 people lost their jobs or something insane number like that in the year. But I thought we'd at least talk through a little bit of our games of the year, games we played, maybe things that didn't make it that, that we want to talk about, and then just talk about, what we looking forward to next year. I'm going to start off with a game that I know you will not play, that made it onto my top 10 because I only played 11 games. But I did play the Resident Evil 4 remake this year. The thing I'll say is that game looks really good, plays really well, but it wasn't as strong as the other things that you'll see on the list. So when the list does come out, you'll see sort of where it falls in terms of that. And that just shows you how strong this year's been. That's why I want to start out with Resident Evil 4, Tom, is that this is a really good, probably a top 3 game, maybe even top 2 any other year for me personally. Yeah. And it's going to be way lower on the list than people think. And I think that's just a great shout out to things that came out this year. And there were things that I didn't even play that might have knocked this off the top 10, wow. In general. I didn't play Spider-Man, didn't play Oxenfree 2, didn't play Wonder, so
yeah, you need to play Wonder.
Yeah, that's like next after I go through the DLCs over the break here. But yeah. So like those things would have knocked. I'll say that would have knocked RE4 off the list if I got through everything I want to play this year. But I still highly recommend it. Every game on my list except one is I'm a little iffy. I think we've talked a lot about it on the show. We'll get to it. But RE4 is really good if you like Resident Evil 4, especially if you like RE games or the new remake games. Is probably the second best one. I just really like that 2 remake a lot. But I am more in Resident Evil terms, and people can let me know if I'm correct in this assertion. In the Resident Evil games, there are 2 camps. There are those that love Resident Evil 2, old and remake, and there are those that love Resident Evil 4, old and remake. I fall into the former category, so that's the only reason that stays ahead. But I don't know where you want to go with one of your games. Do you have a strong game that you're like surprised?
I mean, so the biggest surprise of the year for me was Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
Nothing could really compare to the shadow drop and instant love of the gameplay and everything surrounding it.
Yeah.
The tone of the game, the voice acting, the writing, all really well done. And I wish that we'd get more games like that. And also the fact that it was on Game Pass immediately.
Yeah.
Was a huge plus for that game, because as a Game Pass subscriber, I would like to have games like this more often that I can just, and like Sea of Stars is another one. Game Pass day one, a great Japanese RPG, a huge surprise. Nobody saw Sea of Stars coming, and it helped me get through the year and do my actual resolution from last year, which was to use my Game Pass subscription more. So Hi-Fi Rush for sure was a surprise out of left field, and Sea of Stars also. Both incredible soundtracks, great visuals, great writing so far. So I mean, I know you streamed Hi-Fi Rush and you're in the same boat as me.
Yeah.
What did you think of that game and how it came about this year?
Yeah. On the flip side of Resident Evil 4, this came in much higher than I was anticipating, even before playing it. It hit me immediately, the charm of the game, and what they were going for with the main character. I can't wait to, I don't know how much it adds. I heard not a whole lot, but I want to play a little bit of it like off stream, so I don't have to play in streamer mode with the songs.
But I would say that the songs add a bit to it. So
Yeah.
I would recommend at least, up through the first boss, second boss, just to see how the not the real music, but the licensed music works in that game.
Yeah. So the game was fun. The introduction of all the characters was spectacular. Like, I fell love at first sight with Peppermint immediately. It's caught on stream. That I did that, and you hook me immediately when you get me to get emotionally attached to a character. It's one of the reasons why I didn't really enjoy one of the other games that's on my list this year. But the music to the characters to everything was just really, really well done. And I it probably didn't hit as hard for me as it did for possibly you, because you're a little more musically inclined than I am. And I don't know, what was your perspective from someone that probably has definitely played music, but has had to think in the way this game does?
Well, it made my brain feel good, because most of the time you have to be on a beat with something, and it's a straight, simple beat. It doesn't sway too far from that. Every once in a while it will, but this was the first rhythm game that I had played, besides like Parappa the Rapper, that was like an action-oriented rhythm game.
Yeah.
I know Jonathan will say, every action game's a rhythm game, but this one is labeled as that.
Yeah.
So
this one's labeled.
But yeah, it was an interesting experience to go through when you're used to just slamming the buttons for an action game. To do that, to slow yourself down and hit those marks and be able to do all of the cool moves that are available to you, because there was in the beginning it was basic, but I liked how it progressed and got far more interesting with all of the abilities you got, and the fact that you had to perform them on a beat just made it that much more interesting.
Yeah, it was very well done. I was very surprised, and it ends up beating out a lot of games that I was more anticipating coming into the year. Speaking of that, I think it's the next two games we'll talk about, because you've also played one of them. I'll start up in terms of most anticipated, and how one can deliver and one can under deliver. So first off, for me, the game that hit exactly how I thought it would hit and surprised me with a couple things was Goodbye Volcano High. I had been the one weirdo on the stream, very much looking forward to my Dino friends to play through the visual novel, essentially, game here. And it became a surprise rhythm game that I wasn't anticipating, because you literally had to play her guitar notes, or their guitar notes, when Fang is singing and all that. It probably had my second favorite moment of the year. It was probably my favorite moment until I recently went through a section of Alan Wake, which those of you out there that played Alan Wake 2 know exactly what I'm talking about, so it's not going to be a surprise to you when I reveal it next episode. But it's got a great musical moment late in the game that was one of those, and I am never afraid to admit this. It's one of those things that like almost brought me to tears while streaming, because it was such a culmination of everything, and just the atmosphere and the voice of the singer. Their voice was just amazing. Soundtrack's great. I wish they do vinyl. I keep seeing it. Maybe I missed it. But yeah, it delivered in exactly the way. Didn't over-deliver. Didn't surprise me, like Hi-Fi Rush did. But it's exactly what I was looking for. Had good, interesting story stuff, especially with the way it opens. And then you see, it does one of those where it opens in the future, and then you go back and play everything to that moment. Kind of like Final Fantasy X. Spoilers. Yep. And so that was very interesting. And on the flip side, a game we both played that very much underwhelmed me was Starfield. And it goes back to what I was talking about with Hi-Fi Rush, with Peppermint and Corsica and stuff like that. when those characters came on screen, I instantly was like, yes, I will die for you, sort of reaction to it, or in the joking sense that I say, Peppermint can hit me in the face with a shovel. It would probably, that would probably go more to Corsica. She would seem to be to be violent. Peppermint. But you get the point that I'm making if you've listened to any podcast I've been on. Like they were instant introduction. I was on board. Everybody they introduced in Starfield, Sarah Morgan's story's fine. I didn't really dive deep into many of the other stories. The most interesting one is the cowboy guy. That's why I became a Freestar Ranger. Just because he kind of sold it to me a little bit. And they seemed like the best faction in terms of, not having to compromise my morality or kind of be exclusionatory, which is what I felt the UC was. But yeah, it was just the game was beautiful when you went to the locations. A lot of repetitiveness, which is fine when you're procedurally generating a bunch of stuff. I was ready for that. But there was no hook into it. I basically started just mainlining, and it was so much more difficult to base build in this game than Fallout 4, which instantly made me not want to do it. The best part about Fallout 4, maybe I had more time because I was younger, and didn't remember all the going out and getting materials that you have to do in that game for the base. Because once they told me that I needed all these rocks that were only on certain planets and stuff, I was like, I'm out. And you had to like level up your character to like almost like the third or fourth tier on something to be able to do more with the base. And I was like, no, I'm not grinding to, that was the best part about Fallout 4 is you didn't need to have the level didn't matter.
Grinding,
just getting the
grinding to base build is that's like asking for people to not do it.
Yeah, that was what I found with it. Maybe I should have been mining as I was going through the story, and I wasn't. But yeah, and then it goes into the old encumbrance thing, and and stuff like that.
How quickly you get over encumbered in Starfield it's infuriating.
First thing I did when I got my ship, the Misery Business, is I put as many storage containers on it as I could fit and still be able to fly. So by the end, before I had to retrofit my ship to do something at the end, I could carry like 4,100 pounds on the ship or whatever. Yeah. I guess it's pounds or units or whatever measurement mass. I guess I think it's mass. And just to let you know, for one of the starter ships, you only get like 500, I think, for the starter ship in terms of what you can store on it.
Well, yeah, I still have the first ship.
Yeah, you can upgrade it to get more, but like the original thing is like 500, 600, 700, something like that, like under 1,000. And I instantly just upgraded the second ship I got to be almost $4,000.
Like the first thing I do in all of these like Fallout style games is throw credits or whatever into your carry weight. I always it's one of the first things I do because I don't want to have to worry about being over encumbered. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
And that's the other thing about this game is they went the Skyrim route a little bit, and you had to do certain things to be able to level up things. You had to do the action to level it up. Yeah, like to get more carry weight, you had to run while almost over encumbered for a certain amount of meters, and then that number just became astronomically big, and I'm just like, I'm not running around for like 30,000 meters or whatever it was to get the final level. I'm just going to beat the game. The end of the game's kind of interesting. The story line of how they go with it and how they, introduce the concept of New Game Plus to it. I don't know if you've beaten it yet, Tom, but So the way they finished the game and introduced the concept of New Game Plus is pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie, but everything else leading to that point, everything in it was. I just think they did the Sean Murray thing of just over promised with everything and delivered. I would say on 75% of it, but the other 25% is the things that make the game like enjoyable to play after 30 hours.
I mean, the biggest problem with this game is that they announced it 7 years ago or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
the amount of hype and build to a game like this, especially a Bethesda style game, open world, space, you're just asking for trouble, because it's the same thing with, any game that's been announced for that long and hasn't come out, and you're just waiting for it, like Star Citizen, or Star Citizen's been in beta for almost 20 years, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more like 10, but still, it feels like forever. But anytime you have a game in development that long, people are going to be upset that it's not the crazy exploration style game that they want. It was the same thing that happened to Cyberpunk. The hype was just unreal. There was no way that it was going to live up to that, even though it was an unfinished, broken mess. There was still no way, even if it wasn't, that they weren't going to live up to all the hype, because people will just make up the game that they want in their head, and if it's not that, then they hate it, and it's the worst thing ever. So it's just one of those things. I mean, I'm sure they will continue to improve Starfield. I don't know that it'll ever get to the point that people want it to be, but
yeah, they could do a Cyberpunk.
I
hear Cyberpunk 2.0 and Phantom Liberty are exactly what the game was supposed to be when it came out. Because now they don't have to worry about PS4 and Xbox One, and can just, focus on the next gen and computers that can run the game better. And the only thing I'm worried about is, from the Game Awards time, it seems like some people have not learned their lesson in terms of overhyping things way too early.
I'm telling you, people just don't get it.
Yeah. It's just
one of those things. Like you need enough time to build hype, sure.
Yeah.
But if you announce something 6 years in advance, because I remember watching the stream when they announced Starfield.
Yeah.
And it was like I think it was before Fallout 76.
Yeah.
And
that was all concept, and I don't even know if they had video at that point.
Right. Don't say anything. Just don't tell anybody. Until you have something that you can show and you're confident with, just don't even show it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was sort of hinting at the, Sean Murphy introducing his new game, and saying it's the ultimate open world, where there's like no invisible walls. You can go anywhere on the planet. And I'm just like, dude,
don't do that.
You more than anybody should know to watch the hyperboles. Like, dear God. But at least he showed stuff and the game looked good and interesting. But I was just like, oh, man, I hope it's good just for his mental health. But that's why Starfield falls much lower than, it probably should have.
I'll just say that I'm glad I did not purchase the game.
Yes. Thank God for Game Pass.
Yeah, because I would have been this would have been another Deathloop situation where I would have been very upset that I made that
purchase. Yeah. So, what's your next game you're excited to talk about on there?
Let's see. I mean, I want to talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. Awesome.
So this was to me it was a surprise. It was a surprise in the fact that it hooked me so hard. I was very skeptical of Final Fantasy 16 and everything leading up to it, just for the mere fact that it was not turn-based. I mean, 15 wasn't turn-based either, but I was not a huge fan of 15. I beat 15, but it was one of those, I purchased it, so I feel like I need to beat it type of deal. But 16, from the beginning, it was like, all right, this is a totally different feeling than any other Final Fantasy I've ever played. So much darker, so much. I hate to use the buzzwords of darker and grittier and whatever, but it had a great score. The visuals were incredible because they didn't have to worry about putting it on a PS4.
Yeah.
And the one thing they did that I think was a great idea was the demo. The demo sold me. I finished playing the demo and I bought it immediately.
Yeah.
So
I was right on that boat.
I feel like they could use that to their advantage a lot more.
Yeah, this was a year that I felt demos really helped. Even though I haven't played it, I feel like the Lies of P demo helped a lot of people get into that. That might have been on the fence about it. Final Fantasy 16 clearly did it for me. I think what it shows, whether there's plenty of things to gripe about and discussions to be had on it, but it showed that Final Fantasy can do a mature game and not look too cheesy or cringe or whatever the word of the day is for that. And it gives some great moments to where all anybody can think of when they think of Clive or Ben Smith is just fuck. Because it's so perfectly delivered, and without
the voice acting in this game is better than probably most games that I've played in the past few years.
Yeah, it's definitely the best voice acted Final Fantasy game. We can argue between it and Remake, but Remake was going off already established personalities and characters, so you kind of had an idea what you wanted them to sound like. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough.
Yeah. Well, they already had things where they spoke.
Yeah.
With movie and everything else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, and this was just out of the blue, creating somebody from scratch. And hit the nail on the head on just about everyone. Who knew a little NPC character that I swore was going to turn on you and did not, would be one of the great characters of the year in Gav.
Yeah.
Just because of the voice acting and the mocap and all that. This game hits the right notes in every aspect you would want in an RPG. You can say, the non-turn-based, aspect of it. But then you get CSRs for that, which we'll talk about in a little bit, at least from my end. It just really showed that, I want to see the next mature fantasy setting game that Creative Business Unit 3 puts out. This was CBU 3, right? That did 16, or is it the other one?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but when I say mature, the remakes for 7 are mature-ish because that game was mature for the time when you watch the other 6. But the game made me tear up on stream. It's just caught on camera, which will be part of the stuff going up on YouTube. Glad I got that moment because they encapsulated a moment perfectly at the end for anybody that has siblings.
Mm-hmm.
It was just well done. They did the Final Fantasy thing of having scenes that made no sense of why they could have done that scene anywhere else, but they did the scene and talked and had a really serious conversation while both being naked on the beach. Like why?
Yeah,
it's like the hot spring scenes in any Japanese Final Fantasy. It's just
Japanese. It's a Japanese game. They have to put it in there somewhere.
It's got to be some weird scene, and that was one of them.
There's obvious negatives that were in this game also. Kind of forced side quests, and especially towards the end when the whole game becomes a side quest.
Yeah,
it's
not a perfect game.
It's not perfect, but it was well above expectation. Some people had issues with the story and it's super simple and blah 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 or whatever. But it was a pleasant surprise, and I dumped more hours into that game than I ever thought I would. It was one of those games that made me turn on my system and want to play it.
Yep.
And I only had that 2 or 3 times this year. So that should tell you how invested I was in that game.
Yeah. Yep. And for me, the final thing we'll talk about here before talking about the future, because I don't want to, spoil all the stuff for next week, is I was really surprised and loved, and for the same reasons with Hi-Fi Rush, the time I've spent with Baldur's Gate 3. Deservedly Game of the Year, in my opinion. Even though, just the way, and that's not a reveal, because remember, my ranking is on my favorite game that I played, not an overall objective, breakdown. I think what they do in that game, the way they just are able to make every character have a personality. There's like sects of people, and SECT, sex.
Sect, not sex.
Sex. of people, but there's plenty of sex in this game. Not Witcher level, but you get the idea. And that everybody has a favorite character or favorite couple characters. There was a video I've seen today that's slight spoilers, but I don't know the context or the outcome of this scene. There's a great line from Asterion, who's the guy that won the Game Award for best performance. Says a line, I think it's in Act 3, or maybe it's in Act 2 when you're going to do something. And he's like, we already know that we have a group of enemies that we have to go fight, and now we have to worry about being invaded by a shapeshifter. And he's like, I don't know if any of you are acting weird because you're different or because you're just a bunch of weirdos. And it's such an encapsulation of how that game can go, depending on your choices. And the best part is whoever's playing the game that's recording this, the people are just in the most ridiculous armor and head things. Yeah. And it just fits, the line fits perfectly in this clip. And it just shows the fun. It's the first game, and I said this about the D&D movie in a movie sense. It's the first property that I've seen that encapsulates what it's like to be at a D&D table, in terms of, everybody's always flirting with everyone. There's, interesting things that happen whether you succeed or fail. There's good backstories for everyone. The only thing it's ruined is that people can't save and reload their real dice rolls in real life, like they can in this game.
Which you mentioned when we were first talking about this game.
Yeah. There was a great meme that someone rolled and was like, "Oh, you need a 15, 10, quick load." What? No, quick load. 12, quick load. What are you doing? The DM's like, "What are you doing?"
That doesn't exist here, my friend.
Yeah, it's there's one great video. Baldur's Gate 3 has led to a lot of great TikTok and YouTube videos that I've seen, where the one girl does the save and reload thing and rolls 4 consecutive ones, which is like 1 in 160,000 or something, like ridiculous odds.
Somebody's bound to do it, right?
Yeah. It's like, it was funny. She's streaming. She's like, no, and then the whole time, like on the video, because it's a clip, it's like putting up the odds each time. Like for a normal one, it's like 1 in 32 or something. I don't know how odds really work for dice, in terms of how they figure that out. And then it just keeps popping up the higher odds as she goes. So this game is definitely one of those games that's like you can do headcanon stuff with your own party in here. And just how long that first act is. I hear acts 2 and 3 are more story focused. And you can just do just about anything in that. Go anywhere on that map before going into Act 2. It's just a great game. And I recommend anybody that has any interest in D&D or high fantasy or anything like that to go check it out. So what's the final game on your list that you'd like? Unless you just want to go into future.
Let's just go to future.
Let's get
it over with.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Mark will mark this time.
Lies.
Yeah. So obviously, if you've spent any time listening to this show, you will know that we are both extremely excited for Final Fantasy VII. What is this one called?
Rebirth.
Obviously, so excited I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've shown so much stuff of this. I've literally stopped watching because I don't want to see it. I want to experience it. I don't know why they're showing so much. I don't know why they think they have to build hype for this game.
Yeah.
It just seems weird to me, but yeah, I'm so excited for this. And people can rag it on all they want, but as someone who Final Fantasy VII is their favorite game of all time, and this game that I really enjoyed the remake, I cannot wait for this second edition. I can't. I don't know what else to say. It's until I have it in my hands and I'm playing it, I won't be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I still keep watching things because I don't like. I'll be a little upset if spoiler things, but I've played through the original game, so most of the stuff would just be stuff I don't think they would show if it was a spoiler. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff they're showing is stuff if you've played the original game, you know it. And the people that didn't know would have no idea what it means. But yeah, everything just from the voice acting, the little things they've changed in terms of, doing this, which definitely looks like parallel timelines or whatever they're doing in terms of Zach's world and Cloud's world. The game looks beautiful. The fact that I feel like it's going to be a little bit like, and I hate to bring this game up, a little bit how like Alan Wake's map, where it's like almost fully, open world. It's a little bit of just paths because it's wooded area, but sort of like you look at the map, you're like, oh, this is a lot of space. And then you go a little bit and you look at the map and you've seen that you've gone a lot further on the map than you would anticipate. I feel like it's going to look really big when you open a map and then realize that it's just like huge, but not like as big as like the map screen makes it look like, sort of thing.
I think it might be bigger than you think.
Oh no, it's going to be huge. Because it's just, when you try to map it out, 1 for 1 with 7, it would be the largest game ever created. Well, and I don't even know if games can like go as big as it would need to be.
It's on 4 discs, Mark, or 3 discs, or whatever. It's
two Blu-rays, Tom. It's a lot of Blu-rays. But yeah, and I think they're doing a really good job in terms of how they're presenting it. The voice acting looks on top tier again. That song from the Game Awards only got me more hype. It's definitely. I can't wait till February to play it. It's definitely the most anticipated thing for next year. Well, second for me.
It will be the only thing I'm playing for a good while. Yeah. Of course, I think it's either the day before or 2 days before they're releasing the Destiny 2 expansion that I've been looking forward to for ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to do there because they're releasing an expansion where Cade 6 makes his return. And I've been looking forward to that for quite a while because it's been teased forever that Cade 6 can return as a Cade 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's the 6th iteration already. So I'm interested to see how that works, what kind of story we get out of that. I don't know when I'm going to play it. It's going to have to be like my break game for Rebirth.
Yeah.
But yeah. It may actually get me to play Destiny 2 again.
Yeah. And I don't like to look too far ahead in terms of games coming out because a lot of things could get delayed. I think the number one thing I'm looking forward to, which if you've listened to this podcast a whole bunch, you have noticed that it's been a long time since we've had one. And I'm really looking forward to the NCAA football game coming out in the summer.
Honestly, I am too. I haven't played one in probably 10 years.
Well, 14 was the last one, so.
Oh, excuse me. Well, I meant 20 years.
20 years, okay.
I think 2004, 2005 was like the last year I played an NCAA game.
Yeah, so I'm highly looking forward to seeing not having to do some kind of hack to do the football playoff anymore. And that game, hopefully if they do the thing they did before where they use the, last year's Madden engine, because it gives them the room to have 100 teams in it or whatever. They don't have to have up-to-date, stuff. I hope with the likes and, with the NIL that has all the players' names in it. But then again, there will also be people to download that stuff from, so I'm not worried. I'm just looking for, if EA does what it's done, I think I said this last podcast talking about NHL 24 where they almost hit it, but if they can get the crowd stuff to be like they do for FC and the soccer games, I think it could be a game that will at least challenge Madden, because Madden's on such a downswing this in the last few years that if you just get something that's hype and fun to play with your friends, it could be something that becomes the go-to dorm game. It won't be, beating. It won't be like ESPN 2K5, that eventually beat Madden before Madden put the clamps on all other NFL games. But I think it could challenge it, especially if they come out strong. with the first offering in terms of options and doing a little bit more focus on like Dynasty and focus on the gameplay and atmosphere more than an Ultimate Team, which that's asking a lot. They're probably going to have some kind of Ultimate Team. But
yeah, it's ZA we're talking about here, Mark. It's going to be
or soon to be Codemasters. I thought I saw that rumor.
I don't know if they would do that.
But yeah, the whole NCAA thing, I'm extremely excited about. It's really just those two games for right now, Final Fantasy, the Rebirth and NCAA that I know are definitely coming out next year. That I'm interested in right now. I don't know if from any of the trailers you've seen, but I think the game I'm most interested in that's coming out way in the future is Blade. Even more than Wolverine, even more than any of the other Marvel stuff.
I didn't watch any of the leaks.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the leaks. I just meant from the trailer that was played on the Game Awards because I'm a good boy. Is that I feel like a Blade game could be a more fun game.
Yeah, I get
could
that.
Could Wolverine be a better game? Sure, because Wolverine's story, you can go a lot and you can tie it in with everything. But yeah, that's definitely the one thing from far in the future that I want to see more of in 2024 without having to go look at leaks.
I mean, honestly, for me, I'm really interested to see what Nintendo does with the Princess Peach game and Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Especially the Princess Peach game, because it's been a long time since she had her own game, and this one actually looks interesting as opposed to... I feel like the other one was very much like a kid's... Like, not a kid's game per se, but not for anybody other than, I guess, kids.
Yeah. This looks like more focused on giving her her own personality and own type of game, and not just throwing her into a Mario game.
Yeah, and especially as someone who has a daughter, it is nice to see Princess Peach getting a game, because I would like her to get interested in video games, and I think that something like that is a very good entry point, among others. But so that's my big ones for next year.
Yeah, so it's plenty of stuff that we're probably going to talk about all through next year, but we just wanted to hit on the big main ones that we're looking forward to. So if you have anything out there, feel free to hit us up on all the social medias. We're on Blue Sky, we're on Twitter, we're on Threads. Come into the chat on the streams, and we can talk about our things we're hyped for next year. Hopefully, less layoffs. So less layoffs in video games next year. So any final thoughts, Tom, on 2023, 2024 before we head out?
2023 was one of my best gaming years in quite a long time, even though it was hard to play video games. I had a lot of great experiences this year, and I hope 2024 it continues on that trend, and I hope there's a Switch 2 next year.
Yeah, Switch 2, baby. Switch heavy. So same thing. This is the most fun I've had. It very much feels like these are games that would have been spread out over multiple years if it wasn't for the pandemic, and that they all came out this year because of that terrible situation. And not having the ability to get a little crunch, I guess, is the not dance around it thing that they probably couldn't do during the pandemic. Looking forward to what comes out of everything going forward here, and I'm just hoping there's some surprises. I want a Hi-Fi Rush again next year that just drops out of nowhere that we don't even know about. So just let us know your thoughts on, as I said, going forward. And like I said, I will be live multiple times this week. Definitely Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when we record TC Tam. I've already been live for our New Year's Eve. And final thing, since this will air afterwards, thank you so much for donating to Extra Life. We eclipsed $1,000 again, and it's more than we ever thought would happen doing that 3 years in a row. So we thank you guys so much. And we're gonna try and come up with some stuff for next year to, sort of, hopefully there is another game like WarioWare to play. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We will see you on the stream and on YouTube. But for now, have a happy New Year. I hope you had a safe New Year's Eve, and we'll see you next time. Bye!